Let's check in now with our Chief Certified Meteorologist, Betty Davis, with the latest on Milton's path right now, Betty.
Yes, and everything happening all at once with Milton, the winds, the storm surge, the very heavy rainfall. Here is the latest from the National Hurricane Center with the new full advisory. Winds of 105 miles per hour. Those are the maximum sustained winds. So it's still weakening as it's interacting with land, but it's still a hurricane, a Category 2 hurricane moving east-northeast at 16 miles per hour. Now moving farther away from places like Sarasota. It's 100 miles southwest of Cape Canaveral, and the forecast track takes it on through that central part of Florida, moving offshore Thursday morning. So it's still going to be a long night in Florida, though one thing we are noting on the Doppler radar, the rainfall, the intense rains that Tampa was dealing with, a lot of that now starting to shift into the central part of the state. However, Tampa and a lot of the north central Florida area is under a flash flood warning. And as far as the winds go, you'll notice that the winds in Tampa are gusting to 85 miles per hour, sustained at 52. So as we bring in our hurricane specialist and storm surge expert, Michael Lowry. Michael, it's nice to see that heavy, I guess, part of the eye wall, the rain bands are starting to scoot out of the Tampa area, but they're not quite done with Milton. The backside of this still has to get through.
Stinging backside, Betty. Yeah, and we're seeing pictures even tonight of the roof at Tropicana Field being shredded by the high winds of this. Take a look at the radar right now. This was a multi-hazard hurricane. It was sort of a pick your poison wherever you are in the state. We had all of those tornadoes, Betty, that started the day over here on the East Coast, supercell-like tornadoes. The Weather Service, they haven't put out this many tornado warnings in a single day since the big tornado outbreak in 2011. And then we had the storm surge. You, of course, heard from Janice where she was in Sarasota in this area. And now we're dealing with the heavy rain here across the I-4 corridor from Tampa, now going into Orlando. So a lot of people getting major impacts in different places. It's sort of a matter of where you are. When you look at the gusts right now, most of our stations have kind of gone silent right now because of those strong winds taking many of them down. But we did have gusts over 100 miles per hour in Tampa proper with this. Sarasota, the winds have died down a little bit because the eye is moving and the eye wall is moving to the east. So as Janice was saying, the storm surge gradually coming down. It's not a quick process whatsoever. But those winds, when they immediately shifted to the west, that's when we saw all of that storm surge coming into parts of the west coast there from Sarasota down to Venice, even down to Punta Gorda. Look at these rainfall estimates that we have in the Tampa area right now. Over 14 inches of rain. And this rain came very, very quickly. 5 inches of rain was recorded in an hour. That's as high of a rain rate as you'll ever see anywhere, and that brought upon, of course, by a hurricane. Only a hurricane can bring that sort of rainfall in such a short amount of time. Let's talk about the storm surge very quickly. We don't have many gauges, or any gauges, I should say, in the areas that were hardest hit, but down to the south in Fort Myers, moderate and major flooding. Into Naples, these are sort of a flooding that you would expect to see maybe once every 30 years, and we just seem to be getting them every week with the hurricanes this year. But look to the north of where the center came ashore. These waters actually were pushed out of Tampa Bay. This shows you just how close this came to pushing that really catastrophic storm surge right into Tampa Bay. But just to the areas of the south, as Janice was saying, Longboat Key, Siesta Key, we haven't really seen the worst of it, but those areas being hard affected, as were areas down to Venice and into Charlotte Harbor. You can see 10 to 15 inches of rainfall here that we are expecting mainly to the north of the track. The south of the track was the storm surge, and that's going to produce the flooding issues as we go into the early mornings tomorrow. So this really having everything with it, Calvin and Nicole.